Hey everyone, welcome back to what's happening in real estate this week. I got Conrad Zerini here, a broker, owner, REMAX Escarpment, REMAX Niagara. And I got Brian Hogbin here, Mission 35 Mortgages. It looks like he's at his cottage someplace up north.
Yes,
He's taking an extra extended weekend long this week. It was nice to have no traffic on Mondays cruising around the highways in the cities. So the one thing, Conrad, I got to tell you something. So there was an article in the, I think it was the Globe and Mail, and it says why escape clauses are popping up in Toronto area real estate deals. Now, we know in the past, Toronto, nobody would take a conditional sale of a property. But now they're kind of faced with a new reality of the new market. Like, are we seeing, you think that's going to stay in Toronto? What do you think?
Well, it's even gone extended past just sale of property conditions. It's actually even financing and home inspection conditions, because what's happened there is single detached is kind of on fire in Toronto right now. So last week, nearly 40% of the homes sold over list detached. Wow. So the detached market is really bubbling up. We've seen some detached hit even below $1 million in the GTA. Like within the, and I'm not talking like Peel, I'm talking like within the GTA, DIY, a lot of, fixer uppers and things like that. So the single detached is on fire. They're not even taking condition on financing without an escape. So yes, you're seeing that. And also, you've got the condo market where people are saying, look, I want a condition on me selling my condo or that type of thing. But it's really not what you're thinking. It's more the other home inspection and everything else that they're taking
more
escapes.
conditions, more conditions on there.
Yeah.
The one thing I find that a lot of agents, we have to train them, and you know what, especially new agents, they do need training on this, especially because you know how it says remove this conditions or all conditions. That's the one thing they miss. That one word could mess them up badly. And sometimes a lot of agents don't know that. But then also taking a conditional offer, I mean, like if the backup house is overpriced, you're back at square one. You got nothing going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's becoming tough. Like you have to negotiate with the other agent what they're going to list the house at. And you know what I mean? Like you have to, and sometimes these agents don't put the house on the market till 2 to 3, 4 weeks. Like,
well, we have a clause that protects them that it says it's a seller condition. So the price can't exceed this. It's got to offer a proper commission. And if we don't see it on the market, you're done. We're going to send you a mutual release. Because you can't tie up people forever. But what I'm trying to say is in Toronto, it's interesting. They're even looking at finance conditions on a single detached with an escape. That's how crazy that little market is. Can you imagine when that comes here? That's going to be insane.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. You know what? And I have seen that on condition. Well, sometimes you'll see that on a commercial deal with an escape on a condition of financing. And but I wouldn't doubt we see that. They'll put longer conditions, 2-week condition on it with an escape clause on it. Put a 24-hour escape or whatever to remove all conditions. If not, then you're out of luck.
But the other thing is you have to have something from them. Like, so people are emotional. Like, I want to know, like, if I give you notice, right? If I'm a seller through an agent gives notice to that buyer, does the buyer have the wherewithal to do it? Right? Like, I need proof that they can do it, because a lot of them think they can do interim financing just because they have their house for sale.
Right? No kidding. No, I know. You're right. You need to know. Know. I had one deal. I'll never forget this one. I took a conditional sale. This is many, many years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago. And nothing was happening with that. I get another offer on a conditional sale. So I bumped the first one for another conditional sale. And then nothing was happening with that. Then I get a third one and I bumped the second deal for the third one, and it's sold. Like, it was just, the backup house was getting less and less and less. Question: can you give somebody notice even though there is no backup house, just to get rid of them off the books?
No, but you could put what I call bump the bump, which is, let's say, for instance, I'm buying something conditional on sale of my house, and I only want that particular home, okay, and I've got a conditional sale of house on my property, well, if they get an offer and give me notice, then I can give you notice. But you have to have that clause in there because I only want that house. I only want that house. And if I
No,
lose that house, yeah. But
no,
that's
no,
the only,
no.
yeah.
I'm talking about the seller giving notice to the buyer to remove conditions, even though he does not have another
No,
offer. You can't do it.
no, you can't do it. You can't do it. And the only way, like I said, the other way would be if you got bumped and you had a
Right,
provision for that, and you said,
right,
"Look, yeah, I didn't sell my house, but the house I'm buying, I'm gonna lose it. So you
right.
better firm up so I can firm up. Other than that, the deal is dead because if I don't get that house, I
I'm
ain't
not
selling my
interested.
house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
that's the
selling my
only
house.
time there's an exception, but that's it. But you have to have it written in the offer.
Right. So yeah, so you definitely have to have a backup house, like because sometimes you get this offer, you take the conditional sale, and then the backup house is garbage. It's
Yeah,
not
I know.
happening, and now you're
Yeah,
stuck with them. You're married to this person for whatever 2 months, 3 months.
yeah,
Oh, another sale, another
yeah. There
sale.
we go.
I think that, you know what, when it comes down to the financing on it, you got to make sure there's good expectations set on the backup. Because if the backup is conditional upon selling at a certain price in order to make the down
Yeah,
payment work on the new one, I've seen it happen before where all of a sudden you've gone from an A deal to a B deal to a private deal because
Oh
the
wow.
backup sold for about
yeah,
80K less, right? And then they were going to pay
yeah.
out debts and pay this out. So that's something that that you should
Oh
look at too,
Well,
just to make sure that the financing still works
well,
on a contingency.
Well, we have a condition that allows for the to open the door for negotiation. So let's say I get 10% less than that established price. I can go to you and ask for 5% off.
yeah, yeah.
So
You could renegotiate before you firm up. Yeah,
yeah, so it's getting
we've
creative.
done
Yeah,
that. We've
yeah,
done that, which
yeah,
you say, hey, listen, my expectation was to get
yeah,
this much. I didn't get it. Are you willing to work with me to make this whole deal happen?
yes.
That happens a lot.
So
That
we're putting
happens.
it in writing. We're putting it in writing. But the one that's really happening a lot is because inventory is flowing in at a fast rate, you're seeing, especially when it comes to, let's say, a townhouse or something, that the people, right, that have a conditional on the sale of their place to buy a townhouse, let's say, they see a better unit in the
Yeah, yeah,
complex come for
yeah.
sale.
Oh
And
yeah,
that buyer's like, what do I do? Do I let it lapse? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
It's a shit show when it comes to that,
Oh, no
right?
kidding, no kidding. And that happens a lot when another house
Oh
better
yeah,
comes up.
totally.
I've seen that. I've seen that
Yeah.
very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of. So Brian, you obviously see that, and obviously the conditions have met. The house is sold. You know you work out the deal and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I think
And
the
then
biggest thing.
what's the what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say when it comes down to the appraisals as well too, right? Because you got to make sure those appraisals are done well in advance as well too. Because sometimes I've seen it before where someone doesn't want to commit to the financing, they're not doing the appraisal because their condition of sale, and then all of a sudden, if it appraises 10, 20K less than what the purchase price is, and that does happen from time to time, they have to make up the shortfall. So they got to make sure that, make sure they're working with a good realtor and a good mortgage broker, that they're committing to going forward with the
Yeah.
financing, because sometimes they don't want to spend the extra $400 or $500 if they're still conditional on sale, but they 100% have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no kidding, no kidding. So, Brian, like, what's the longest chain you've seen on a conditional sale? There must
Oh
be.
God.
We must have seen six or seven. Or
Dominoes,
there
like
must be
listen,
more.
we don't get into dominoes unless
It depends on the one
Yeah,
deal.
Yeah, I
If
know.
that deal doesn't come together, then it just freaking falls
oh
apart.
gosh.
Eh?
Nope, never seen any, Rob,
Oh.
never.
So anyway,
Yeah, Brian's buying that house. Brian's buying that house.
oh yeah, that's it.
Hey, back in the day, though, in the 70s and 80s, I would say 70s for sure, agents bought that house. There was like, you got to think of when the price of homes was probably, $30,000-$40,000, the agent would buy the house, right? Because
Wow.
they had so much commission tied up at the 7 deals.
Oh, for
it
sure.
was worthwhile buying the house.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
you got to make
no
sure
kidding.
you have
Well,
a good agent on it too. Because I had one scenario selling one of my own rental properties, and the closing date came and went. And guess the realtor didn't even call. It went about 3-4 days, and luckily it was a rental property, so there was no domino effect for me, right? But you need someone
Yeah.
who's going to be on it. There are some lackadaisical professionals out there
Oh yeah.
that
Well,
do not,
that-
they don't even know that their deal didn't close, for Pete's sake. It's unbelievable. It's like, you didn't even, and the funny part was too that we didn't even know they still delivered the closing gift, because I went by the house to go check it out, and there was a friggin' basket on the front door, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like,
So I got to tell you, your wife's a realtor.
yes.
Was that her? Is that how you met your?
She was the listing. No, she was trying to get a hold of everybody, and the other side was out to lunch.
Unbelievable.
You know?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I know.
So guys, listen, one last thing here. Should adult children be added to parents' real estate title? Yes and no, I think.
I would say yes, with the caveat, make sure you know what you're getting in for, because you got to be aware of the D's, the death, the divorce as well too.
Oh
because
yeah,
I've seen that
yeah.
a couple of times, where I had one situation where, a friend of mine going through a divorce, the wife had a cottage. It was getting contentious, or the wife's dad had a cottage. And the dad put all 4 of the kids on title for estate planning purposes.
Oh,
Huge multi-million-dollar estate. Now that gets dragged into it. So I
Right.
think if
So-
you're putting your kids on title, which I think is great for estate planning purposes,
yeah.
go through the line as to what could go wrong, because that might mean an impromptu, not separation agreement, but an impromptu marital contract,
A prenuptial.
Yeah.
So
Well-
so the spouse, you have the spouse say, "Hey, listen, if anything happens to us, you got zero rights to this,
Yeah.
and we can go on."
Yeah.
They may not have
Yeah.
a prenup with their marriage, but the parents should actually have the kids sign
Inheritances.
something.
Inheritances are excluded from it, so
That's
you're
right.
pretty safe. There's not even a question about that. It's just, if you take that money and that money grows, well, the differential is obviously 50-50. But I will say this, I during COVID, we gave a lot of advice like that, and you know what, these families were super happy that we're able to pull it off for them, because then it didn't get dragged through like probate, and they didn't have to wait a long period of time, and they had liquid assets like a house quite quickly, and they were able to dispose of it and sell it and pay off whatever. But yeah, I think it's a good move. I don't think there's you just got to be careful, but I don't think there's too much downside. I think it's the way to go.
I think there's only
good.
one other thing to it that you just have to be aware of, because we see this in reverse mortgages a lot, is that if you have joint title and then you get a power of attorney put on there as well too. Because then if you've got 2 siblings and only one of the siblings or someone has a power of attorney, now they're able to actually do something with that asset because they have the power of attorney over the elderly parent. So that's the only one where you just have to look out for.
Well, and you also know the financial situation of your child, right? What if they, because have we heard they put mortgages on these houses and their parents don't even know? Like, hey, mom, hey, dad, just sign here. And meanwhile, they're taking out $500,000.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're not making the payments. And now the parents have to be forced to move out because the kid took out a mortgage on it.
Or if kids have a crap ton of debt, right? And then if they want to go into a bankruptcy, that asset can get pulled into the bankruptcy as well too, right? So if the kid's a spender, you got to be careful of that if you're the parent.
So,
but I think all in all, it works out majority on a good thing for when it comes down to estate planning. For sure.
So when your child named Timmy has got some financial issues, you better get the financial statements out. As a parent,
Timmy's paying probate. Sorry, Timmy, you're paying probate, buddy.
As a parent, man, get the financials. Try to be just like the banks. Get the financial statements. Get everything, because that can. It's a great thing to do for the estate, but it's also can be
but later in life, I think. I think later in life, I think 80 plus, when people are 80 plus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't be doing when 55 plus. I'd be really hesitant about that. But you know what? You could do it relatively quickly. Like I said, during COVID, we had people that were very ill and weeks to live, really, and they were able to do it that quickly.
They get a lawyer, get the lawyer, go by the bedside, have them sign, boom, 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 and that's it. Yeah. Like my parents did it with my grandparents. My mom and my uncle on my mom's side put put the house under their name with from my grandparents and with my grandmother. I mean, she lived to 99 years old. So
God bless.
yeah, God bless. No kidding. Yeah, if you can go that long. But yeah, definitely. But the other thing is, what do you call it? A corporation, a family trust.
Oh,
Yeah, family trust.
Another
Yeah.
way. But is that more for business? Like when there's a lot of assets, a lot of assets.
It's a
in
bigger
business,
cost and a lot more accounting to
Yes.
go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the simplest for majority of people is going to be putting them on title. Bare trust is going
That's
to be.
it.
I think there's more tax planning involved in that one for a certain clientele.
That's it. Okay, last question here, Brian. When's the next announcement for the interest rate?
Coming up in a couple weeks in July. Last week of July.
Oh, is that right? What's your
Yeah.
thoughts?
26, 24, 26.
What's your thoughts? I take your advice very, very much. Both you guys.
You know what
okay?
I'm going to say? You know what I'm going to say? It doesn't fucking
go.
matter. Sorry, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like, it's either going to go, I hate to say it, it's either going to go down a quarter or stay the same. And you know what? I know that's not great prediction, but the reality is, honestly, it doesn't, because here's what's happening. The fixed rates are moving up, right? And if you're a first-time home buyer right now, and if you're looking to jump into the market, you're not going to see 5-year fixed money this cheap for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So to lock
and
it
these
in,
rates are good.
they're good.
These rates are good. Like in the last 40, 50 years, forget about COVID, but these rates, we've got great rates.
And that's
I don't
why,
know.
I talked to someone the other day, like, what should I do? I'm like, you should buy a house. Like, you should buy a house.
Yeah.
Why should I wait? I'm going to wait till Labor Day. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Why would you wait till Labor Day? Like, it's not going to matter, in my opinion.
So there's a renewal happening. Do you lock in for 2, 3 years or 5 years?
I think it, again, comes down to what you're doing. If it's a renewal primary residence, yes, I agree with Conrad. Here's the thing. I am adamantly against the 3-year right now. The 3-year.
Yeah.
Because you know what's going to happen in every interest rate curve I look at right now, rates are higher in 3 years. Rates are higher.
Yeah.
So you know what?
So bypass that. Bypass
the
that.
3
Yeah.
years.
With the 5 year.
Take the variable and ride the wave, or take
And
the 5-year fixed. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And I think the economy is teeter-tottering on getting red hot.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Once we get rid of a few of these things, I love the Fed because Powell said we would have had a reduction because theirs is also in July. And you know what he said? Because of tariffs, Trump, because of your tariffs, we ain't dropping it. So it's interesting what's going on. I like that little dig, like to Trump, screw you, right? It's your fault. It's going to be, you're going to wear this one. So, but I think the economy's teeter-tottering. Look, it's got so much resiliency. It's teeter-tottering on red hot.
Inflation,
I think once all this, once this uncertainty comes, I think you're going to see something happening with rates and look out, right? Look out, people. This is the cheapest time to buy a single detached home in the history of Canada right now in the summer of 2025.
I do. I
Between
believe
rates
that. I believe it.
and prices.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. You got the time to buy now. I'm telling you, if you're going to regret not buying, just like people in the past. That's it. Guys, thank you so much. And we'll catch you next week on what's happening in real estate this week. Take care.